光一君、君は精神的にはその男に勝っていたぞ。何？
たまげたな。まさかその傷で立ち上がってくるとはな。しかしあのまま寝ていた方が幸福だったのにな。その傷穴から向こう側の景色が見えそうだぞ。
いい時計だな。
うん。
だがもう時間が見れないように叩き壊してやるぜ。貴様の顔面の方をな。
なかなか面白そうなやつだな。君の名前とかいろいろ知りたいところだが、ここを立ち去らねばならんのだよ。あと20秒しかない。無駄話をしている暇はもうないんだ。今の君のスタンドだがすごくパワーが弱かったぞ。ピッチャーフライ取るみたいに簡単に受け止められた。そんなに弱ってて私のキラークイーンのパワーに勝てるとでも思っているのかね。速い。なんだこの速さは。
よく見たらやれやれ趣味の悪い時計だったな。だがそんなこともう気にする必要はないか。もっと趣味が悪くなるんだからな。顔面の形の方が。
なんだこいつのスタンドは。時間でも止められたみたいに速すぎる。おらハグ
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another wonderful evening of Overwatch. I am Stidle24, and joining me for tonight's major semifinals is a good friend of mine, Jag. Jag, are you ready to see some carnage?
I am more than ready to see some carnage. I'm ready to see some amazing Overwatch, and I mean, we should see a great game tonight. We've got the #1 seeded Bench Boys going off against the #4 seeded Velocity University. So, two teams right now that are trying to make it to the grand finals in Season 3.5 of Owlet. And, you know, I've got to wonder right now, could we see an upset tonight from Velocity University? They looked very clean in their quarterfinals match against the #5 Odyssey. Bench Boys, they had a bye, so they have not played a game since week 5. They could be a little bit rusty, but they're the #1 seed for a reason.
Yeah, we've had the pleasure of watching the Bench Boys play, and it is always a calculated approach, very coordinated and such. And Velocity, very true to their hype video. It definitely did look like they kind of took to the locker room, took to that practice field, and really worked on some new compositions, some new synergies, if you will. I'm excited to see those new compositions come together on Busan, which is going to be our first map.
Yeah, usually we get to talk about what control map we might see, but we do have that insider scoop. We know it's going to be Busan to start us off. This is the Bench Boys pick, as they are the higher seed, the #1 seed overall, even though they did not finish undefeated. As you talked about, we've seen them before. We saw them have their first and only loss against Crusaders in what was a very tight match. Crusaders have already punched their ticket to the grand final, so I'm sure that you and I, as well as the audience, would love to see a rematch, but Velocity University trying to play spoiler tonight, trying to show that even though they are the underdog, they can still win this. Question is, will they start off well on Busan, or will they start in a hole early?
And you're coming into Busan. You're say that you're on Bench Boys. What are you talking about in the locker room right now as far as team compositions go?
Well, it's interesting because they might actually have a ringer in for this first map. We know that Hawk right now is running a bit late. So the question is, will Hawk be here in time? And when you have a ringer in, that kind of changes your whole thing. I mean, we talked about Bench Boys when we saw them play already. They had a new main tank in for that game, They had never lost a map up until that point, and then what happens? Very close match, a 3-2, but they do end up losing. So we already know that when they don't have that synergy of their full roster, it does weaken them a little bit. So you probably play a little bit to your comfort picks there. You don't force anyone in any positions that they don't want to be in, on any characters that maybe they aren't prepared for. But at the same time, you've already came up with these strategies. So it's kind of hard what you do there. I think you just run with what you know and try to make it work.
I would love to see the Winston Hammond dive. I think that as far as I always want to see Hammond. You guys know that. Wrecking Balls, he's my favorite in the world, besides the Amari family. So, like, as much Hammond as y'all can play, throw it on in there for me. But I love the Hammond Winston dive. Maybe throw in the Reaper Sombra with it. Just how effective it is at kind of just dislodging the comfortability or the synergy of the opposing team. Being able to be extremely disruptive that way is just, I love watching that kind of play.
Yeah, I mean, the Hammond is such a kind of risk-reward kind of play, because if you do have that Sombra on the other side, if he's hacked out, he gets no value. At the same time, he's such a distraction, then your Sombra can just kind of roam through and get those hacks instead of being caught out. So, especially on something like Downtown, it's great for boot potential, but we're not going to be on Downtown first. We're going to be starting on Mecha Base.
Mecha Base? Not necessarily my favorite of the control maps, I've got to say.
Not a fan of the brawl?
No, I've got a mixed bag of tricks when it comes to this Busan in general.
Yeah, I mean, like any control map, it's kind of got its high and low points. The 3 unique points are always very interesting. Here is kind of the home of Brawl on Busan. You can run it maybe on Sanctuary, depending if you're feeling risky or not, but in general, you see a lot more Dive. And in the past, Double Shield on the other 2 points. But here, we're going to see the Rhine Diva. And then, do you think we're going to see the Hammond and Roadhog? That would be a very interesting strat.
You know what? I'm totally down for it. I think if Velocity wants to throw off their opponent, they're going to need some wacky strats. But it looks like they're going to go with a little bit more of a tried and true. They're going to go with Quackmore on that Zarya and Striker onto the Reinhardt.
Yeah, and Hawk did get here in the nick of time, so they do have their full roster. They do have that synergy. Rhine v Rhine, Dave Striker versus Blackman as we begin right now on Busan.
And Little Sloth trying to get that wall up, is able to do so. Able to split a bit of the Bench Boys composition out of where they want to be. Blackman will fall, and without that Reinhardt to hold the shield, it's all up to Velocity to press W. Dave Striker already up to 50% of that shatter, and Pit Pat really has not had the opportunity to get the EMP going.
Yeah, but you know, they didn't rotate all the way to point, so there might actually be a time for a recontest. Now we're seeing Blackman alive. That point is gonna flip right now to Velocity, but here is the quick re-engage.
Oh, Coalescence to start everything off here. Dual Essence, if you will, as it gets copied by Misfit. They are going to be able to freeze Blackman out of the fight for a short period of time as Jonathan hip-hopping around, trying to keep himself alive, as Mushroom proves to be the deadlier Lucio on the other side. And that's going to pretty much spell the end of another push from Bench Boys as Velocity picks up speed.
Little Sloth on this May has done amazing with these walls. They've just separated Blackman from the rest of the team every time. Misfit, the pull was not enough to keep up their Rhine, but now we're going to see Pip-Pack in the back. Going to be looking for Hack probably on the Rhine to get that shield down. Dave Striker does have the Shatter. Little Sloth does have the Mail, so they have some pieces to work with right now on the side of Velocity.
Yeah, Little Sloth building up that Blizzard so quickly. Such a big denial ultimate. And now they've got a Graviton and a Shatter to boot. Velocity looking to be in prime position as long as this EMP from Pit Pat doesn't come online before the initiation, but it's going to. They are going to have the EMP here. They have the Death Blossom soon. There goes the grab, but the EMP snags it. It's a 4-man EMP, and it's big. The Bench Boys' patience pays off.
Yeah, I mean, I thought for a little bit Pip-Pat might have made a misplay by just, you know, trying to do a little bit of spam damage instead of going for the hack on the Rhine, but just enough to build up that EMP. And their Lucio on the side of Velocity was not prepared for it, was not hiding at all, just out in the middle of that point. You gotta hide now. Little Sloth still does have that Mail, so as long as it's not eaten by Hoopa, there should be a good chance for Velocity to reclaim this point very quickly.
Oh, looks like they're gonna go ahead and initiate with almost everything they've got. Both Shatters and a Blizzard have gone down onto the point, and the kills definitely in favor of Bench Boys at this moment. Beautiful Coalescence from Misfit in the back just to keep everybody up and alive so that they can deter Velocity from the point. Bench Boys now seeming to have a very comfortable position. Their ult economy's now in rotation. That's going to be a difficult team to dislodge.
Yeah, and Little Sloth swapped off of the May onto the Sombra, and they've caught her out, so they know where that Sombra is. She isn't a translocate out, but that Mail just looks like they didn't know where to throw it. Looks like it was thrown a bit too far. So right now, we're going to see the bomb come out, and this is looking very good for Bench Boys.
Yeah, you see Quackmore, they're trying to abuse that Diva Bomb coming out. Is able to get himself a lot of charge, but a Death Blossom in a small room. Well, those are flowers for the deathbed, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. You do not want to be stuck between a small space and a ulting Reaper. And now, it looks like Velocity had such good control at this point at the beginning. Now, Bench Boys have brought it back. They have more time on the point. They are basically at Wenfei territory, and they have the EMP once again. But here is a pull coming out from Clown Dog.
Oh, big EMP comes through. Death Blossom to boot. Little Sloth trying to help Audacity get something going with that Blossom, but Jonathan had the sound barrier at the ready. And Bench Boys will be able to hold on 90%. They do have a Shatter to boot, and is that a sneaky Reinhardt? Blackman?
Like yeah, a bumper Shatter in the work.
Oh no! Oh,
There
he didn't check his corner! Oh, the overtime ticker is gonna get hit, but a big brawl right now by the spawn room is gonna be bad news bears for Velocity University.
Yep, just not able to stall enough on the point. We saw the Hammond come out just for the stall. Was not able to get it done. You know, I was really surprised they swapped off the May. It seemed to be what was winning them most fights. I know that Sombra is very deadly with her ultimate, but you don't have to play the mirror sometimes. Sometimes you just have to play what you're better at. And in the end, Velocity University is going to go down an 0-1 hole right now on Busan.
And man, I gotta say though, Velocity, they really did put it to Bench Boys.
Yeah, I mean, Blackman was just dead before those fights started at the beginning. He was just on his own, and that's the worst place to be if you're a main tank. But now, we're going to see Blackman swap on to that Winston. So I'm going to be looking to play the high ground. Looks like Velocity's still going to be staying on that Ryan Zuri, so very interesting. They're probably just going to push all the way to point. Not even going to bother with the middle of, you know, the actual map. Just going to play the objective.
Looks like Bench Boys tried to do the teleport out of spawn there, but it didn't quite roll out the way they planned. Instead, they're going to be meeting a Dave Striker with a bubble coming out of a theater, and he's got a lot of anger to take out on his comrades there. Hawk is able to find the first kill as ults begin to build. 60% to a shatter for Striker already, even though Velocity is down a man. They're able to put it back 5-5 now on the point. Both Reapers trying to find a healer in the back line. The charge goes into the theater. Striker's trying to keep himself alive as he has 80% of that shatter. Really wants to be able to get that out here in this first fight.
Yeah,
on the
now,
point take.
Yeah, that first point going to be taken by Bench Boys, and honestly, I think that was a big misplay by Velocity. Should have just forced point, but now the pull is coming out.
Oh, they had the patience, and now they've got the ultimates. There goes the Coalescence to start it off. The Shatter comes by when they're not expecting it. He's able to find Hoopa and put him into the ground, but a big hack comes down onto Striker, and that's going to open it up for Hawk to not only find the kill, but he's also got the Death Blossom if he wants to take the point. Oh, pressing W and then Q. That's a recipe for disaster.
And it all started out with Jonathan getting that boop. You know, you saw that highlight video. You saw how many boops that was in that. So many, too many to count. And just perfect play by them. They used quite a bit there to keep that point that they might have not wanted to. They probably wanted to save that beat for Little Slop's mail. But now they're going to be at 40% and counting. And right now, you know, Velocity, they're getting in there. They're getting the picks, but they just aren't able to clean up these fights.
Yeah, trying to dislodge from the high ground isn't going to work out as the entirety of Velocity gets caught up in Pit Pat's EMP. And just tee it up wide, don't you, Misfit. Hitting that down the fairway with ease with that Coalescence. I mean, Bench Boys, the cogs have been greased. They're rolling.
Yeah, and again, the Lucio on the side of Velocity was not prepared for that, was playing out in the open. You have to do alt check, and you got to make sure you know when they have EMP so you can hide, because that beat is your saving grace. And now it's going to be 70% for Bench Boys, and they're looking to run away right now with this bomb coming out onto them.
Oh, the Diva Bomb into the back line does get blocked by Striker, so it's not going to find anything. Ultimates from Velocity now coming back online. Audacity able to find the triple kill to start things off. The Blizzard was there as a distraction. What a beautiful play from Velocity.
Yeah, a beautiful play indeed. We're just going to see a little bit of stagger from the tanks, but not going to stall out for too much longer. They did commit both DPS ult, but they have so much more to work with. They have everything else online right now. Right now we're seeing Hawk pretty close, Misfit also pretty close. So Bench Boys, they do have some stuff to work with. They can take a dry fight. They can force more ults out. Right now, they know their win condition. The question is, can they play to it, or will they rush things? Will they overuse ults, and will they put themselves in a worse position they started this fight?
Yeah, and they've got Hawk at 80% to that Death Blossom, as well as Misfit, very close to a Coalescence. Oh, the Graviton's going to kick things off, though, by Quackamar. They are going to be able to hack Little Sloth, but a couple kills coming quickly in for Velocity is going to make it very difficult in a 4v6. That's going to be all she wrote. A quick fight and still 2 ultimates left.
Yeah, a quick fight indeed, and honestly, not bad if you're the Bench Boys. You know, very quick, like you said, still have plenty of time to recontest this. They didn't waste any ultimates. They're so close to EMP. Only thing they won't have is bomb, and that's okay. They have so much else in the bank. Their beat's still a little bit behind, but you know, Dave Striker now, they have to hit a big shatter to get this a little bit further down the line, because otherwise it's probably game over for Velocity, not only on this point but on this map.
Wow, but they're gonna come out with a lot of ultimates to shatter. It's not gonna find anybody, but the EMP finds them all. Hawk's able to find 2 as well, and oh my dear. It may be a prolonged fight and a frozen Winston, but it's going to be a point for Bench Boys.
Yeah, the shatter just not hitting enough, only hit the Winston. They couldn't take the Winston down. The beat did come in, but it was a little bit late. It could not save the rest of the team from that Death Blossom, and that is gonna be it. A very clean downtown on Busan for Bench Boys to put them up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, 1-0 is in the series. Bench Boys starting to prove to us why they were an undefeated team for so long. I mean, they got a little bit frazzled at the beginning, I want to say. I don't think they were expecting that level of coordination from Velocity. I think they may have, you know, given them the benefit of the doubt and been like, oh, well, we're probably going to be okay. We don't need to sweat too hard. And then Velocity came out and was like, look, if you are going to beat us, you're going to have to play your best Overwatch.
I mean, Jonathan, oh my goodness, what an impact on Lucio. Got play of the game, had I think 67% of kill participation, so, you know, if you're going to rally around one person, your Lucio's a great person to do it on, and I think, yeah, once they kind of got their, like, legs a little bit on solid ground, they were able to come back from that. You know, we saw on Mecha Base, they did struggle because they probably weren't expecting that Mei coordination to come out. Flatman did end up falling pretty early in a few of those fights, but then, you know, they got the Mei out. They got basically the other team out of their comfort zone, you know, out of their strategy. They tried to do the mirror and it just did not work. And again, I really think Velocity misplayed how to play downtown. it's fine to run the brawl. But you have to realize, you cannot play out in open space. They did try to play in the enclosed room with the health pack, but still, like, you can just kind of get out of it. You can't get off point because then you're giving up the objective. So a little bit of a misplay from Velocity, but they're still in the series, still have plenty of time to tie it up, take the lead. But Bench Boy is going to start it off pretty hot.
Yeah, going to be starting it off hot. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Velocity in that last matchup. You were talking about the Lucios. I wanted to talk about the Sombras. We saw Pitpack come out on the Sombra with a little bit of a slow start on that first map of Busan, but immediately when we went to downtown, those EMPs, I've got to say 2 out of 3 of those were 5 or 6 man EMPs on that map.
Yeah, and a lot of the time they got the Lucio, and I think that's the biggest thing. Even when they didn't get the Lucio, you scared the Lucio so far away, they're hiding so far away, that beat comes in a bit late. At the end, we saw it at the very end, that last fight, the beat was there, but just not on time. So Pitpat's doing their job pretty well. Obviously, as a little bit of a slow start, like you said, but really your job as a Sombra, besides hitting those EMPs, is just making your enemy team live in fear, and they are very scared right now of getting hacked or EMP'd.
And the next map we're going to is not going to alleviate those fears at all. It does look like we are going to be going to Gibraltar next, a map that frequents the Sombra, but could we possibly get just like a little Genji for Steidl, please? You don't have to play big Genji. You can play little Genji. It's okay.
Just little blades, not big blades. We're not asking for 6-man blades out here. Just, a little 2K, 3K. It's interesting because Gibraltar has always been the home of dive no matter what meta we've been in, just because of how much high ground there is. I'm wondering if we could see, some snipers. Widow has a pretty good sightline on this first point, especially if, she has the support of a Mercy or some other healer to make sure she's not falling. The Reaper can be still good if you can get, into close quarters. There are still a lot of rooms and kind of like tight corners you can force enemies into. It's going to be really interesting. Sombra, maybe not played as much here as she usually is, but if it's working for you on the side of Bench Boys, I don't think we're going to be stopping with it anytime soon.
I definitely agree with that. I would love to see the snipers. I'd like to see the Ashe come out. Actually, I've been
missed the Bob plays already.
Yeah, a little bit. Bob did something for a while. I mean, it feels good to allow somebody whose whole point is to do something. It's kind of like how DPS players felt in GOATs. Like, let us do something, guys. And everybody was like, no, play Brig.
I'm sure the Zarya players had a bit more fun than the Brig players. But yeah, I mean, Ashe, the Dynamite nerf, I wouldn't say it was like going to put her in the grave by any means, but I feel like just now she's not as strong. McCree got buffed a little bit, even though his rate is fire is a bit slower. And the reason Ashe is so popular is she was kind of the in-between of McCree and Widow, and now it's just like, well, Widow's still better than Ashe now, so why not just go to her? But it looks like we are gonna see some Ashe play, so Bob might end up doing something. We're gonna see the Mercy Zen, and you see this a lot on modes like this. Yeah, on Escort, you see this a lot on Junkertown specifically. You get that Discord on targets and hope that you can focus them down. Ashe damage boosted in the back line, does a lot of damage of those headshots still. Even the Dynamite doesn't do as much as it used to.
I just love seeing the Ashe play. I recently started getting into like watching for like the true intricacies of like high level Ashe play. Things like being able to hit the coach gun and then the immediate unscoped shot to the scoped shot. Like it's just so much fun to watch these characters that do require a lot of skill to be played. I miss Genji though. I do miss Genji.
No Genji, but we do see a Hammond, so we might see
him
wrap around, try to get the boot off of the high ground. But right now, not a lot going on for either teams as they're just getting this card. But there is a pick by Misfit.
And that is a very quick way to start things off, but Misfit needs to be careful. The big boops coming in from the back line. Quackmore able to get everybody off the high ground. But not able to capitalize on it, however, just yet. You see Hoopa getting lost down into the bottom of the fray. But very quickly, Bench Boys will take that high ground back, and Hawk showing everybody that Dynamite is not the primary mode of fire for Ashe.
It's true, it is not going to end up with 3 before this is all said and done. And now we're going to see Velocity do a little bit of a regroup, a little bit of a game plan strategy session. Tank's just peeking out, and I think Jonathan, again, has been really impressive. Most of those kills were from Mercy assist, damage boost, if I'm correct. So right now, using that ability very wisely, Hawk isn't going to do nearly as much, but here is the dive right now onto that high ground.
trying to use the Winston bubble to cut off the Zenyatta, but very quickly melted down. Bench Boys doing a good job of retreating from the high ground to allow the fight to continue and develop. Hawk does have the bomb ready and to go, but they're waiting for Pitpat's pulse bomb to come online. Audacity coming into the backline, trying to be cheeky, but Pitpat's the one finding the assassination. Egg's gonna get cooked, and that's gonna be the end of his life on McCree. Gonna have to go back to spawn as the rest of the team battles in the stairwell. Blackman in a very tricky position, but his support's able to bail him out at the last minute as Bob goes running into a small room, gets caught in the doorway. Oh, Bob, you almost did something.
Almost, but not quite. Though, you know, I think the Bob, you know, you only use one ultimate there. It's one you'll probably get back pretty quickly. Is Hawk gonna not even let Quackmore get off this map? They swap to the D.Va, but that ultimate, the D.Va bomb is actually built pretty quickly. But look at the ultimates right now on the side of Bench Boys. They have everything besides that Bob. So if they rotate this correctly, they can hold this for a while. But it's really gonna be all about that blue box battle. But it's not gonna even matter about the battle if Hawk keeps flipping heads.
Yeah, Hawk with a very crucial pick. Mushroom not able to commit the sound barrier to this fight, and they have to back out, but they're not even able to because Pitpat's not letting them.
Yeah, Hawk and Pitpat have been on their A game today, are just running through all of Velocity University, and already 2.5 minutes gone. There's only a minute and a half left. This is 3-4 fights at best, depending on how quick they go.
A lot of ultimates online for Bench Boys. It's kind of been the story of the map. But we're looking for Velocity to kind of turn things up. Primal Rage from Dave, trying to knock people off of this high ground, but it's Pitpat still coming through and shining true. First pick down, now in a 5v6. Winston getting back into his own backline to try and help out. But Blackman's Primal Rage really putting in a kink to these attackers' story. They're going to go ahead and go to the lower ground, just completely dismiss the fight and try and push the payload, but the kills are still in favor of Bench Boys. Velocity
really
just
late
can't
game.
find anything here, yeah.
Oh no, you need to hold on to that. I just think they don't know how to engage. I mean, they use the Primal to try to displace people, but if anything, it was just a wasted ultimate. You can really use that to kind of save yourself. Now they're switching on to the Rhine with only 35 seconds left. They do have the High Noon, they do have the Cole, they will have the Bomb, but again, an Ult Apocalypse coming out from Bench Boys. All they have is everything besides Blackman's Primal Range, so that's a lot of tools in the shed right now for Bench Boys.
I do like the fact that Dave has switched over to that Reinhardt knowing that the D.Va bomb is ready.
Yeah, that's a pretty smart play, and it will give them a little bit more point presence.
Question is, where is that D.Va bomb going to come from, and where's Pitpat hiding with the pulse bomb? D.Va bomb going up and over. It will land on the top, and it's going to find two! Quackamore able to get one more than Hoopa. Transcendence coming out from Misfit to keep the rest of Bench Boys alive, but the DPS is too much from Velocity. They have the upper hand in this fight as the Valkyrie tries to even the scales, and it's going to get the job done. Clown Dog goes down as Egg gets Pitpat. He is able to commit the Deadeye, but not before he gets taken out. The payload will continue to move, but Blackman is still there. He's still got health, and all he's got to do is wait for respawns. Oh, he is going to get taken out, and Hawk will not be able to contest, and what a final push from Velocity.
Yeah, Quackamore coming in clutch of that bomb, getting to one was res, but it was enough to kind of also displace the rest of Bench Boys. You never really saw a full fight after that. And, you know, now they've got new life, almost a full hold on that first point. Now going to be able to get that cart rolling. Going to be going with the Rhine as well. Audacity does have the Pulse Bomb. Blackman close to that Primal. There is the Pulse Bomb, but it's not going to find anything, but Hawk going to be taken down first.
And that's a very, very dangerous enemy to finally have off the field. You get to have a slight breath of relief before Jonathan's going to bring Hawk back on into the action. Payload making a lot of distance already before a true fight's even broken down. Hawk will be able to get Audacity out as Egg battles in the backline against Pitpat. Pitpat doing a lot of damage, forcing that D.Va bomb out. We'll be able to find Quackmore with the Pulse Bomb as well, and that's not what you want to see if you're for Velocity. But the coalescence coming out from Clown Dog is telling the story it needs to get things done. But Jonathan, the gutsy res into the backline, is able to bring Blackman back online after his Primal Rage to continue to stall for just a little bit longer to get a little bit more time off the clock.
Yeah, and this is going to be the end. And what a quick push on that second point. And Bench Boys just never touched. They set up on high ground, and, you know, you're not going to see Velocity playing high ground at all. They're going to be playing that payload with that Rhine, and right now it's working for them. We're going to see Blackman now swap onto a Rhine of his own, so now going to try to even up the score in that regard. But they had more point coming out of that second point than they did on that first. That's how efficient they were.
And what an early pick from Audacity to take Misfit out of the fight. Now they're afraid of not only the corner, but they have to be afraid of the fuel storage room, where Audacity's playing around. Bob going into the backline is able to get the up hit onto Mushroom, and that's going to be all she wrote. Hawk will find the kill. The retreat aptly cued here from Velocity. You don't have a lot of time. You need to take the fights when you're at full strength.
And Pit-Pat now on that Sombra, which, you know, was probably the biggest reason they won on Busan, minus their amazing team play. So that fear is going to be stricken into the hearts once again of Velocity University. We saw that Audacity got kind of staggered out by the end. Misfit does have that trance online, but if he is shattered, it's not going to mean anything for this next fight. They have to shatter, but here's an early bomb.
Early bomb goes out. They are going to have everything that they need. Trying to get Blatman into the fight for a little bit. Hawk will be able to find one in the back line as both Reinhardts knock each other out for a short period of time. Audacity will be able to pick up a kill, and there's the shatter, but it's not going to find what it needs. Quackamore, however, does come down with the kill. Payload going to be continuing to move as Misfit finds Quackamore outside of that mech. Egg's going to take care of that Omnic, however, with a couple of swift shots as the payload moves into what could be one of our last fights here, or what will be one of our last fights.
This is really interesting. Blatman has the shatter. Ryan is going to get back very late to the fight, but will they use it?
There goes the Coalescence to start things off. Blatman looking for the perfect moment to shatter, but he finds a shield. The Deadeye there to follow. The defense matrix is out, but he didn't take the shot. Hawk's able to find one onto Audacity as Egg demix Hoopa, and the bomb goes out. Finds Hoopa into the back line. Even though Bob's out onto the payload, he's in a bit of a precarious position. Is able to find the kill onto Quackamore's mech, however. The body's still in favor. The healer's still on point. If Quackamore can just get the mech back. But so many bodies for Bench Boys.
Yeah, they're probably just going to stagger out the Diva because they realize that,
Oh!
yeah, the perfect stagger. So now they're going to have to go into this fight down at least one person, and they have nothing on their side. They do have Audacity's pulse bomb very close by, but will they even have someone touch? Yeah, it has to be Audacity here. But they got booped. Can they touch? They don't touch! Oh, no.
Not a full push, but definitely formidable.
Absolutely. I mean, it looks like they were going to get full held there at the very beginning, so the fact that they were able to do anything on like Gibraltar was pretty impressive, able to, you know, bring it almost all the way. Look at this cart, it got pretty far, 75.05 meters, but you got to think that they had at least one more fight on that last point in overtime. If they just been able to get the tracer there, and you know, I think the problem is that everyone else was basically back in spawn. They put it all on Audacity, and Jonathan, I cannot say enough about how good Jonathan has been playing. And it's not just because I'm a support main, I promise. I'm a flex support too. Not even a main support, but the Lucio play, the Mercy play, it's just been astounding. The reses were insane. I mean, that's, as you said, very risky. But, you know, they try it and it paid off. They're just not punishing the support line enough on the side of Velocity. They need to punish Bench Boy's support line more. Misfit and Jonathan just doing work right now.
Yeah, a lot of those reses were the ones where, like, you die, and you're like, all right, let me take a bite of food, let me grab it. Oh god! That's what those reses were.
Yeah, and, you know, it looks like they were prepared for it at the very least, so are able to spit out whatever they had eaten very quickly to get back into that fight. Now we're going to see what's almost completely meta from Velocity. They're going to be running the Moira, which we haven't seen a ton of on this map. They are going to be running the Tracer, though, instead of the Sombra.
Meanwhile, on the other side, we've got some pulled pork. Most likely just for this initial kill. Oh, no! They were able to get the halt hook off of the top. Now the tank's going back to switch to the dive. They've gotten the initial pick, and what a play from Bench Boys.
Yeah, that was an amazing play, and now they're just going to roll through, it looks like. They haven't gotten any cart presence. Now they are. They're going to get it underneath, so very good picks by them. And Egg is kind of in no man's land right now. Gonna get out.
That's not the first fight that you want if you're on Velocity.
And you see that a lot, honestly. You know, the pulled pork just for a second to see if you can catch anyone too far forward, and they did. Now gonna swap onto the Ryan Zarya, not even gonna bother with the dive if you're on the side of Velocity University. Hey, it worked for them before. Can they make it work on this defense, though?
You see both teams now posturing, waiting for full force to engage in the next fight. Payload just sitting by itself on its lonesome. Blatman will go ahead and go down. He needs to put a little bit of pressure onto Velocity. Audacity and Clown Dog both very close to ultimates right now, but Bob going to be gracing the field very soon. Egg and Mushroom both able to find the kill. It's going to be a good start, but Egg's going to get a little bit too far there. And with the res, Hoop is back and Bob's on the point. Coalescence comes out from Clown Dog to keep everybody from Velocity Universe alive and well, but a Winston in their back line is going to make things difficult, but Hawk from above, what is happening?
Hawk was basically just an AC 130 right there, you know, like death from above, just completely rolling through all of Velocity. And I think that really starts with, you know, the fact that they had such a good first fight. If you can even call it a first fight, it was really just a first stop, and now Egg again going to be caught out of position. If you lose your Reaper, that's going to be huge, and you are, so they might cap this even faster than we saw Velocity cap the second fight, because now they're down their primary damage dealer.
Yeah, Bench Boys being able to dictate the terms here as far as engagement goes. They're able to pick who they want to kill, when they want to kill them, and where they want to fight. That's what you want to do if you're controlling the conversation, such as Bench Boys right now, trying to make quick work. The Shatter goes down. Hoopa not able to eat that Shatter with the defense matrix, but it's okay. Blackman's there with the Primal Rage to take Reinhardt for a ride. As the Divas begin their battle at the top of the ship, you see Misfit and Pitpat just moving that payload along unimpeded for a good period of time. You will see a very slight contest from Quackamore, but right now, Bench Boy is doing a good job of taking the fight off of the payload and then just moving the payload at their own convenience.
Yeah, and look again, these staggers from now. Jonathan gonna whip out the pistol, so the Battle Mercy coming out in 5 minutes on the clock on this third point. They are not dictating the terms, they are just slamming the terms in Velocity's place right now. There is only one person on the cart right now, so Velocity does have time to get back into this, but they need to do it as a full group. At second point, they got completely separated. No one touched, just as you said. And right now, Bench Boys looking to get up 2-0 in the series very quickly.
You know, you talked about being up in their face, and aggression's been the name of the game for Bench Boys for quite some time. A double kill very early off there on the Transcendence from Misfit is going to try and keep him alive. Not try and keep him alive, I do apologize. Is going to keep everybody nice and perky as they take to the spawn gates. That payload is gonna move all the way in. That's a quick and easy point for Bench Boys.
Some could say a tale of two C9s, because both times unable to touch the point at the very end. I'd say the attack one a little bit more sad, because, you know, they were right there and just one good time boop kept them from getting back on that payload. But an amazing attack from Bench Boys. They're showing exactly why they're the #1 seed. They look so calm and collected. They're using ults very wisely. And, you know, despite having a very poor second point defense, doesn't matter, because their attack was incredible. Their third point defense, you know, they were able to get back into it and shut it down. So Velocity could not get a full cap on Gibraltar. And now they're up 2-0, only one map away from punching their ticket to the grand finals.
Well, Bench Boys, only one map away, like you said. And I think that Velocity might need a little bit of time to go back to the locker room, have themselves a pep talk before we go on to the next map. I know that I need a drink of water and that you need a fresh bowl of popcorn. So we're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with map number 3.
Time for the Misfit Veteran, and I am very, very excited to bring this one to you.
Oh, hi there. I just got back from my meeting with Velocity. I had to bring him a first aid kit. Here we go. On to King's Row, Jag. We're almost to the end of it. If Bench Boys says what they want to say, if they continue their dominance, this is gonna be it right here. But Velocity, you know, they said they had some new strats. They had said they had some new things to bring to the table. King's Row, a tried and true map, composition's kind of solid. You think they bring any new flavors to the kitchen?
I mean, it seems like they're really comfortable on this Ryan Zarya, so I think this kind of puts them in a favorable position because, you know, King's Row is known as a brawl map, very popular and famous for it. It's very hard to be running that Winston Diva on it. And, you know, they're just going to kind of stick to their guns, I think. They don't seem comfortable playing the Sombra. Now, they tried playing the main. That worked on Busan, but it seemed like on Gibraltar, they were kind of lost, didn't really know what to do. And, you know, once that, you know, whole hog comes in and not the whole hog but the hook, you know, killing the diva early on, they're a bit staggered out and maybe a little mentally boomed for the rest of that map. But let's hope that your pep talk gave them a little bit of energy because they certainly need to get back into this series. It's gonna either start right here right now or it's gonna be over for Velocity and their dreams of making it to the grand finals.
I believe in you, Velocity. I want you to know that I do believe in you. This is the map that I want you to just knock Bench Boys, knock them on their bums.
Let's see if there will be any bum knocking shortly, but you know, it's very interesting because it seems like Bench Boys just have a better grasp of like what's meta, and they're kind of running with it. We have seen a little bit of deviation from them. They did run, you know, the Mercy Zen to pretty good results. They ran the Ashe, and I mean, Hawk just looked like a monster. What do you think we're going to be seeing from them now?
I mean, I'd love to see this Torbjorn just A, for the memes, but also Torbjorn is an extremely good hero for this first point. Just because if you're able to get that ultimate up, you can completely deny entry to the point and like force them to go through the small little window at the top of theater, or just push straight through that molten lava.
Absolutely, but doesn't look like we're going to be seeing it. Looks like we're going to be seeing the Mei come out. So, you know, very traditionally run here on King's Row. Try to cut the main tank off. A little bit of what we saw already from Velocity on Busan. See if Hawk can do it better.
I'm really looking at Little Sloth to come alive right here. The Sombra's been useful, but hasn't really flourished. Oh, is going to find Pit Pet out pretty early. Almost gets caught themselves as they go into the rotation, back into the back of the theater. Looking for the hack onto Misfit if they can get it. Doesn't look like that's going to happen, but it is going to allow the rest of the team to rotate here to the high ground. Waiting for that speed boost to come on over. Sloth waiting for the call for the hack. Oh, but Sloth gets caught out. Has to translocate out now. Looks like the pacing of the push is a little bit different. They're going to have to meet up in a 5v6. The Moira getting caught inside of the hallway is not able to get out there and help her team. Clown Dog not able to do the healing. Bakamori is able to find Pit Pat out at the very beginning. But Little Sloth still not very far up to that ultimate as the kills come through for Bench Boys.
Yeah, and that was a great pick onto Pit Pat, but now that you took so long to die in that fight, they're gonna have plenty of time to get back on the Reaper. And I think Little Sloth's, you know, hack priority list maybe isn't exactly how you would do things usually. Your biggest hack priority is that Rhine to get rid of that shield. Ooh. And they did get him, but they're not even able to capitalize because they're still so far behind.
Yeah, the rest of the team was not there to help Little Sloth out, but Little Sloth able to get 74% to that ultimate, but coalescences from both Moiras matched with a shatter from Blatman as that's gonna put Velocity onto the floor and allow for Pit Pat to clean up just like that.
Yeah, like you said before, Pit Pat, and that's that. Now they're just going to do a little bit of cleanup crew duty. Misfit and Pitpack going to find more kills at the end. Going to find their counterparts. And look at Little Sloth again. Just going to be looking to build up that EMP a little bit more. They are so close. And Jonathan does not have that beat yet. They do have DPS also. They do have the grab. But if Little Sloth is able to capitalize, able to get in with that EMP very soon, they might be able to win a fight just off of that.
Graviton, Blizzard, and Reaper on the line for Bench Boys. As Little Sloth looks to find the perfect EMP, is right now on point, sees the Blizzard come out, is going to go ahead and commit, go towards the Blizzard. They got the sound barrier, so they are going to be able to live through that. Death Blossom, don't even need the EMP. It looks like Little Sloth is going to be able to get out of this engagement without even having to commit that ultimate.
Yeah, just like that, you think their fight winner is not going to be used, and it doesn't need to be used because Audacity able to find the kills with the Death Blossom. A very beautiful beat coming out on the side of Velocity. And, you know, just like that, there are still a lot of ults on the side of Bench Boys, and that EMP is still online. So, basically the same scenario we were at before, but now we're going to see Velocity move that card a little bit.
The Maywall coming up with the shatter onto Blatman. He said, you think you've got me in a corner? Well, guess what, brother? My team is here to back me up as they go flying through the street phase from point A to point B. The aggression right now from Velocity is new, and I approve of it.
Yeah, they're finally able to kind of play an aggressive style, and it's working for them. Bench Boys just don't seem to be prepared for these really quick engages. The shatter out of nowhere, although it only got one, it only got Bladman. That's all you need if you can focus that target now. Now they're holding very aggressively up onto point 3, but that cart is not getting much movement.
No, the cart moving slow and steady, so they are going to have to hold their ground here, which is difficult to do against a Coalescence, a Death Blossom, and a Graviton. So that Coalescence is going to be able to help Blatman and Hoopa make a bit of space. But as this corner approaches, expect the Graviton, but now with the EMP there, Jonathan is able to save the day with that sound barrier. Allow for the Graviton to come out a little bit later and hit Pat's Blossom to flourish.
They used 4 ultimates in that fight for Bench Boys, so they basically just reset their economy completely. They will have Hawk's Mayall, but as we saw in that first point, was not enough, especially when that beat is online. Quackmore does have the grab, so honestly, even though the EMP didn't get the value they were looking for, a pretty good fight from Velocity because they forced a lot of ult out from Bench Boys.
And there goes that Blizzard right on the back of the May wall. Is gonna find both Little Slot and Quackamore out. Oh, a sneaky, sneaky Reaper. Is Audacity gonna be able to get behind and go to the point?
They might. I mean, look how far forward right now the other team is playing, but they kind of were non-committal about it. You know, they had the time, and instead they're just gonna be hiding behind for probably what will be a flank Reaper all.
Audacity's gonna. Well, don't worry, Audacity. We'll be quiet. We won't give you away. Pit Pat running around trying to find Little Sloth here. Attention being brought over to the left side of the map by Velocity. They know they have the Reaper there. Little Sloth now into the back line. Coalescence comes out as the DPS go for it. Neither one able to find a kill. They're going to have to bail for a little bit, but a Death Blossom comes out into a Graviton, and that's going to get them the kills that they need. A lot of damage from Audacity, allowing the rest of the team to pick up on the kill feed. This is going to allow them to get themselves all the way to point B again.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great grab by Quackamore, and Audacity was literally right in the heart of it, so perfect positioning. The Rhine shield just wasn't good enough from Blatman. They did take a while, though, to set up, so valuable time off the clock, only a minute left, so probably 2 fights at best. It takes a long time to get from the attacker spawn to here.
Oh, looks like the Coalescence, however, is going to be aimed at Jonathan. Going to take him out of the fight as the Shatter gets blocked. Blatman will be able to get that charge, which is going to open the door for Hoopa as well. Velocity trying to answer back as quickly as possible, but Pit Pat on the point on this Reaper has just been a nuisance to them all game. And they will have to go ahead and go back. Like you said, this is last fight right here.
Yeah, they do have the EMP online, and they weren't able to secure kills off of it. Can they do it this time? Jonathan does not have that beat, so there is no saving grace there. If they hit a good one, they do have the Reaper out. They could engage with that early. They have Hawk's Mail as well. They have the Colt. So there are tools on both sides to be used right now, and Little Sloth almost being found out there, and now the clock is winding down. Will they see 9 again?
Oh, the charge is going to say something different. He is able to find the initial thing, but Pit Pat was waiting with the Death Blossom. Is able to get a couple of kills off it before the EMP from Little Sloth comes through. But a lot of the members of Bench Boys are very low on health, and it's just Jonathan there to heal them up. The Blizzard is there, but the kills still coming through for Velocity. They'll get the respawn from Blatman, and the question is it going to be Audacity or Blatman that's going to come out on top here? Oh, the sound barrier, just to make sure that their Reaper can make it all the way through.
That is a beat from downtown, and it might have been a little bit extra, but honestly, in that situation, you throw what you have. You throw the kitchen sink, you throw the bathroom sink, you throw every sink in the freaking house to make sure you cap that point. And now, they will have a chance to cap the 3rd point, but they honestly, they use a lot, but they still have tools to work with. So right now, Velocity not in a bad position.
Yeah, ever heard the term, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? They didn't. They still have a powerful duo. They are going to get caught up in a Graviton. However, Bench Boys looking to take as much time off the clock as they can before they can put anything together. And Hawk and Pit Pat are going to make sure that that happens.
Yep. Very quick fight, very efficient fight from Bench Boys, and a kill, a good amount of time off the clock. But Velocity did not waste anything in here. Again, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see the bumper shatter. Will they check their corners this time? Blatman just waiting and hiding, and they don't look. And
Oh no! Oh yes!
He might have called
At
it.
the last minute, Dave was able to get the block. Oh man, the Graviton comes out to stop him with the Death Blossom, but nobody's really in that Graviton, so it's gonna be up to Clown Dog and Little Sloth to get the key picks to start it off, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. But a high-charged Hoopa is going to try and escape here. I think they are going to get out. Oh!
Hoopa might, but Hawk is not, so that's gonna be a big second onto the May. One of the only ults they have going into this last fight.
Right now, Velocity showing the tenacity that's needed to push this payload all the way through. They need to be able to make it through these next few ultimates. Coalescence not finding any picks, but the Shatter from beside. It doesn't find anything, though. Striker now, and wildly out of position, is going to get caught in that Blizzard. He's going to go down, but 2 kills have already come through for Velocity, and the overtime ticker is there, so they don't need to worry about the respawns like you would normally. Krakenmore, very high charge Zarya, 67% to that Graviton. That Graviton Death Blossom, very likely their win condition here. But Blatman with the Shatter and Pit Pat with the Death Blossom of his own and no shield to help out. Clackamore can't stay. Audacity takes a nap on the point, and it's all up to Striker. The Frozen Hammond on point to keep things alive for as long as possible.
Yeah, and it's just not going to be enough. Once again, so close to finishing out the map, but just a little bit behind. And it really comes down to that timing of the Shatter and the EMP. EMP doesn't cancel the Mayall. The Shatter a bit too far back, I think. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. It looks like maybe it hit the wall.
Yeah,
Oh,
so he did it just a little bit too far back. And then at the same time, it looked like the supports went for a little bit of a retreat and the tanks went for a little bit of aggression. So the team just kind of split in the middle, and that's where the Shatter landed.
And I mean, it was a great call, right? The flank Shatter, they had no idea where the Rhine was. They were
not looking for it.
The EMP hit, but it just wasn't timed enough. I think maybe comms, you know, get a little bit scattered. You get so excited because this is like the last fight and attack. You want to make sure that like you're hyped up, that you're like in it, but sometimes you can get a bit too hyped, and in the end, so close, but no full cap. So now, Bench Boys, again, they're up 2-0 in this series. They only need one more map to secure their ticket to the grand finals of majors. So they know their win condition. Can they punch it home?
And I'm really happy that Little Sloth kind of beginning to come alive here on the Sombra. Like you said earlier, the hack priorities seemed a little bit off earlier, but now definitely starting to have a bit more of an impact. But it's still not where I want it. I want Little Sloth to get a few more EMPs, and I really think that they need to be communicating because the team consistently is not there for a hack or something of the sort. I want to see that synergy really come together.
Yeah, the EMPs have been huge, but just no follow-up right now.
Ooh, Blatman is the first one hacked. So that's going to be an easy 25% for Sloth before having to locate out. And a good job right now of Velocity kind of keeping Bench Boys on their toes without having to commit the May. Speaking of the Mei, the wall into the back line goes out and it blocks Clown Dog from healing. So only one healer online, while the Coalescence from Misfit is dishing out damage. That is going to be an easy 3K, 4K, if you will. But Velocity, not ready for that Mei wall.
Yeah, I just don't think they're ready for the aggression also. I mean, when you've got a Mei on offense, you're just going to try to back them off the point and then run into them. It's exactly what happened. Even though Blackman was hacked out at the beginning, they just played very passively. They didn't go for the charge, and at that point, you got the Lucio, you do have the speed, you gotta just go for it. Yes, it might not pay off, but sitting back and just letting them run into you isn't paying off either. A very early call from Misfit. Clown Dog doesn't even have theirs yet.
Didn't have it last time, but is going to have it this time. Blackman as well already has that shatter, but Hoopa really has been kind of stunted this push. Not able to get that Graviton online as quickly as Quackamore. And right now, a perfect moment for Quackamore as the entire group of bench boys is now on the payload. No shield there, and they're going to dish it out. Misfits Coalescence trying to keep people alive, and Audacity only able to walk away with that one kill onto Pit Pat. Velocity will be able to stop the payload here and kind of dig their heels into one of the hardest points of the map to dislodge the payload.
They don't have their Rhine though, so they're going to have to give up a good amount of space. And there's a shatter that's not going to hit anyone. A big misplay.
Oh, big misplay followed by a big EMP. The shatter comes through from Blackman, but he's not there to see what it does. There is a Blizzard keeping the members of Velocity in tied hands. And a beautiful sound barrier from Jonathan to combat that EMP.
Lucio on the side of Velocity got frozen up mid-beat, so they were about to hit it in that mail, and then they just did it a bit too late, got frozen up, and that's their ultimate gone. Again, just timing issues are killing Velocity right now, and that was probably their best EMP play today. They really were on top of it until that mail came out, just not able to hack out Hawk there.
Oh no. Jag, is anybody looking at Pit Pat? No one's
looking at Pit Pat, but they are definitely not looking at Pit Pat right now.
No one's looking for Pit Pat right now. Nobody's paying any attention to this high ground as Bench Boys continues to press through. The Coalescence comes into the back line as well as the Death Blossom, but Pit Pat's like, hey guys, I'm up here. I'm behind you now. He's gonna go ahead and go back. Sadly, a wasted hiding spot.
Yeah, I think they were waiting for the Death Blossom, but Audacity just gonna be the first one to hit Q, and in the end, a smart play by Pit Pat, not gonna use that ultimate, not gonna try to force their way onto the point, because at that point, their team was down. But Bench Boys, 445 and a Coalescence.
445 and a Coalescence. Pit Pat able to find both supports off of the back of a beautiful Mei wall from Hawk.
Yeah, just that fight didn't even happen on point, so it kind of works out for Bench Boys in a way, because yes, they're cleaning up. Now they've got that point control Velocity. They don't have to worry about having a rush re-engage because that cart did not move at all. They have the grabs to boot, but Hawk again has that mail, and this time no beat to be frozen out of or to use.
Graviton is going to be kicking things off, followed by a shatter from Blackman. Quackamore getting caught up there in the Blizzard a little bit, and that is the second time that we've seen that Blizzard used to counter the Graviton. Little Sloth and Audacity trying to help out. Yeah. That is going to be it. We're getting a rematch in the finals.
Yep, it is going to be the #1 seeded Bench Boys going up against the #3 seeded Crusaders. That should be an amazing match. But let's talk a little bit more about this one really quickly. It looks like on these last two maps, you know, we saw that Velocity kind of got going. They had a bit of a groove, but in the end, just not able to get the job done. And then on their defense, not really able to set up at all. They just kind of got rolled through a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I like the fact that the fire started to get lit, you know. We didn't see them. The second map was a little bit rough. I think Gibraltar for Velocity, they kind of got predicted at every turn on their defense. So to come into King's Row and to do as good as they did, and they kept up. They didn't pout about it. They said, you know what, brush it off. Let's take the next map. Let's see if we can get this win. Sadly, not able to pull it through, but a very, very valiant effort.
Yeah, a team that I'm sure we'd love to see in the next season come back even stronger. But, you know, we got some people to talk about. We got some people possibly to talk to after this. Bench Boys, who do you think should be the MVP for this match?
I mean, it's hard for me not to say Hawk. The Ashe presence, in Busan was absolutely insane. But I mean, Pit Pat and Jonathan, it's a toss up between Hawk and Jonathan for me. I can't make my mind up. I need
Can I make an argument towards one for you, possibly?
Yes.
I really think Jonathan should be the MVP, and there's no doubt Hawk popped up. Honestly, Pat and Hawk both played very amazing games today. The DPS lineup for Bench Boys really helped bring this game home. But it really starts with your backline, I think, at the end, making sure that you're staying up, making sure those abilities are being used. And, I just thought Jonathan today did an amazing job at really making sure the team not only stayed alive, but, using those beats, using those reses, using those Valkyries, all abilities that were used very wisely, never seemed to be wasted. We saw some Battle Mercy come in from time to time, and it paid off pretty well, and some boop kills as well.
We really got to see the whole package tonight, and what more can you ask for from the Owlet teams, from the Owlet channel? I mean, every time I come on to cast, it's always something fun and something new, and I have a feeling that it's going to be the same story for the finals. So if you are in chat, if you haven't followed the channel, make sure that you do so, and follow Owlet Tournament on Twitter so that you can be notified for when the finals go live. But we are going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, while we grab some players for a short interview. And welcome back, guys. We've got a couple of players from our winning team, the Bench Boys. So what a wonderful way to wrap this thing up. We've got Hoopa and Pit Pat joining us for the interview. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
You better be.
Doing pretty good.
You better be. That was a very well 3 maps of Overwatch. Very, very well played. I did want to ask, Velocity, did you expect them to be the opponent they were?
For me, yeah, I'd say yes. Yeah.
I didn't know what I was expecting. This is my first game.
It's your first game in the majors?
In Owlet in general.
Oh, well, welcome.
Yeah, welcome indeed.
Thanks.
What a way to start it off, huh? Playoff victory, a spot in the grand finals. We'll talk a little bit about the grand finals in a second. I want to talk a little bit about Gibraltar because that was a very interesting map, to say the least. You guys almost held first point, then you kind of gave up second point. What was the mentality on third point? How did you guys get back into that map and hold it out so they didn't get the full cap?
Well, I personally feel like in first point, the biggest reason why we lost was because it was more payload was more towards the end, and the bomb got 2 of us, so that was pretty much just kind of hard to recover from. So in second point, we kind of messed up by trying to maintain the high ground a bit too long. But third point, we felt a bit more confident on. I feel.
Yeah, on third point, our shot caller Misfit and like Black were like, hell yeah, we got this. We got third point, easy clap, you know. So like they were hyping us up, so we knew that we'd be able to keep third for sure.
Yeah, and keep it. You did. You gotta love the confidence. You gotta love the reinforcement from the shot callers on your team. So, looking at the grand finals, you're gonna be playing Crusaders, and they are the only team that beat you this season. Not only that, they disrupted your undefeated map record, won that game very closely, 3-2. So, in the finals, what do you think it's going to be like? Do you think it's going to be different? Do you think it's going to be close? Do you think you guys, now that you've kind of reorganized the team, added some new components, that you got the advantage?
Oh yeah, like I was in the Crusaders game, in the one that we lost, but like I feel like these roster changes have been really good. Uh, as for me, like bench choice has been making me play Sombra all the time, so I'm in Sombra gel. But it's glad to have Hawk play with me as the partner DPS, because that way we have much more flexibility in other heroes. Because beforehand, our previous DPS, we had to have like a Widowmaker in all the time, and that stressed us to play in a certain way, and Crusaders exploited that. But now that we have some roster changes and Hoopa's on here, I think we're gonna do really well in our finals game.
All right, and I got one last question before I throw it back to Scheidel. Who do you want to, kind of give a little compliment to on your team? Who do you think really played really well that really helped you guys win today?
I honestly feel like it was a team effort. Like, we all had to do our own part, and we all shine bright in our own sections of the map.
Gotta love a
Like,
team effort.
yeah, we had our shot caller, doing great. Target caller, amazing. Our alt tracking felt pretty good. So it was an excellent team effort.
Yeah, call out to Jonathan, dude. His ult tracking is literally nuts. He gets it accurate like every single time, and he's improved on how fast he does it, and that helps me as like Sombra, so I can like scout more like earlier and everything. So great on that.
Awesome.
Very nice to hear. Before we wrap things up, Hoopa, Pit Pat, is there anything that you guys would like to say to your adoring fans in Twitch chat and across the internet?
I hope I made a good first impression.
Oh, cat just win. We're gonna win grand finals. Like no clap.
You heard it here first, folks. They're gonna go ahead and go on to win grand finals. So you better look out for those new strategies they're bringing up. But we're not going to give anything away. We're going to go ahead and let the players go on back to their team and celebrate while we go ahead and grab ourselves a glass of water and maybe a book to read. I need to relax after all of that action. Jag, anything that you wanted to say before we headed out?
Just if you have any plans when the finals are booked, cancel them, because if this is anything like the first round we saw, this is going to be an incredible game of Overwatch. Two teams, regardless of seeding, that I think are at the top of their game right now. Can Bench Boys come back and get revenge? That's the question. Or will Crusaders show up once again and get Bench Boys off of that bench onto the ground and into a hole known as their grave? We'll find out when the grand finals happen, but yeah, look out for that match. It's going to be a doozy.
And a big thank you, of course, to everybody at the Owlet team and from everybody at the Owlet team to you. Remember, stay safe, don't be toxic, and have a wonderful evening.